I'm very pleased and thrilled at the organizations that are here. And our next organization or our next speaker actually represents and wears several hats. And I think she wouldn't have it any other way. She heads up the T Network, which is for the first time, one of the few growing, dynamic, informative transgender networks in Orlando. She's a senior leader at Lockheed Martin. Are you on the board of the MBA? Or through the T Network. She's working with our LGBT Chamber of Commerce, the Metropolitan Business Association, and it gives me a great deal of pleasure to introduce Jennifer Kurzawa to speak to us. Thank you. I knew I'd mess up that name.
Thank you. Okay, I have to stop and just go, wow, because you got me so pumped up. I was over there like, oh wait, no, I have to speak now. And so we'll start off with, for me, everybody help me for a minute. Raise your hand if public speaking makes you nervous. Great, level the playing field. All right, because, okay. All right, so as Gina said, I'll give a little bit about myself. My name is Jennifer Kurzawa, and I am a native Floridian. Been in Orlando for 20 years. I went to college here, and I have now been with Lockheed Martin for 13 years. I'm in their information security field as a project manager. I also have the privilege of leading our corporate division's Pride organization and a host of other things there. And they do, to say that they support me in my endeavors would be an understatement. They're one of the biggest reasons that I'm here. Just a little personal plug, I also have an amazing 8-year-old daughter and a wonderful supportive girlfriend who's sitting right there taking a picture of me. And but interestingly, as much as I obviously am very young, right, I spent most of my life really unaware of the broad spectrum of diversity that exists in our world, right? I was always a very, open-minded person. Really didn't start to come into being into who I was until college. And even in college, where I got to spend 1 year as the president of at that time it was the Gay, Lesbian, Bisexual Student Union, transgender wasn't even in my vocabulary yet. Queer wasn't in my vocabulary. I was very ignorant, and so I have a lot of compassion, and I really try to share that compassion with this community that so much of what we're dealing with is ignorance and lack of awareness. Right, more than hatred, and I think that just opens up a lot of doors. And so I came in to my understanding of this whole community initially very ignorant and unaware. And so to also kind of give you a little bit of why I'm here, right? So you look at me, I'm not transgender. Why is Jennifer doing this? Why is this so important to me? About 8 years ago, when I was just kind of getting into my role at Lockheed, I was at an event. It wasn't a Lockheed event, and meeting other people, networking with other professionals in the industry, and I met someone and started becoming friends with them and found out through that friendship that they identified as queer. And I was like, cool, what's that? I was so open and wanted to understand, and I think they thought it was really weird. But luckily for me, that person chose to educate me. And through our friendship and through that education, they started to share with me that they had been considering transitioning. Now, they never came out to me and said I'm transgender, but one of the things that became very, very clear to me was that the entire world looked at this person and saw a woman, and this person looked inside themselves and saw a man. And all I knew was I wanted my friend to be happy, and they were not happy. And I was blessed with the pleasure over the next year or two of kind of going on this journey with them as they transitioned. And as I watched him become unleashed, right, and free from his cage, and then all of the struggle that went along with that, right, the physical pain and emotional trauma. He lost his partner, he lost friends, and I'm sorry if I get emotional on this. He lost some of his family, And on top of that, I actually watched somebody who was a peer of mine in the industry, who had way more education than I did, such a brilliant person, no longer accepted by his coworkers, and his leadership team didn't support him. And it wasn't over. He wasn't fired, but as a result, he chose to leave that job. And I'll tell you right now, they lost an amazing employee. And to this day, he is working to rebuild his career and rebuild his life. And, luckily, even though his career didn't survive, because he chose to embrace his true self, he survived. And now he's a happy person. But I walked away from that experience a changed person. I walked away from that experience saying, that is not okay. And that doesn't need to happen. And I immediately went back to my work and I said, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do now, but I need to do something. And I knew from that point on that I wanted to get involved in this community. And so I looked internally because, like I said, Lockheed happens to be pretty supportive. And I had just really started to be my whole self at work. And as you know, happy to say Lockheed Martin maintains its 100% equality index score. For 3 years in a row now, we have hosted an internal LGBT leadership forum at our corporate headquarters that has top-level support. We support important organizations like Out and Equal and Out for Work. Right? We're out there actually sending people and getting them educated, so I took advantage of that. And in 2013, for the first time, I actually went to Out and Equal, and I sat in on several presentations from their transgender track. I also connected with a fellow employee there by the name of Christine Bland. She's actually out of Denver, but she's a Lockheed employee. And in 2013, she started the Transgender Council at Lockheed Martin. And after Out and Equal, I reached out to her and said, I want to be on your council. How can I be on your council? And so together with several others, that council since then, we've been working on creating things like a consistent process for transitioning in the workplace across Lockheed Martin as a corporation. Checklist, the minimum things you just have to have so that everybody has the same experience. Because I was realizing that while my company absolutely stands for these individuals, you go to different sites, you have people that have different levels of understanding and knowledge, and it gets back to that ignorance aspect sometimes. And so I can proudly say we're doing a lot of work right now around what it's like to transition at Lockheed Martin. And I can more proudly say that for the first time, Lockheed actually started participating in, and I'm going to have to read it because I mess up the name, the award from Nagelstep, which Christine Bland won in 2014 as the LGBT Engineer of the Year, which is a very high-level award. Nagelstep found it. Sorry, I don't use all my notes. So, National Organization of Gay and Lesbian Scientists and Technical Professionals. So not only was this Lockheed's first year nominating anyone, but we nominated an amazing engineer, an amazing woman who had just transitioned at Lockheed around 3 years before that. And she's a phenomenal individual. So a lot of great things happening at my work. But transitioning and being a valued professional in the community is more than workplace guidelines and policies, and it expands beyond the office walls. And that's where the T Network comes in. So the T Network, as you mentioned, is Orlando's Transgender Professionals Resource Group. We're young, we're still growing. Around this time last year, in fact, is when I sat down with the MBA. Really just a brainstorming session. I shared with them, my passion for this community and my vision. And it was like a heartbeat. They said, do it. Let's do it. Here's our resources. Here's our support. And I sat down and I wrote out our mission, which there's papers in the back too if you'd like more information. But it's to enable and empower our transgender and ally community by connecting, sharing best practices, building awareness, and educating the whole community. So in June of 2014, we held our first planning session, just a few of us at a table at the MBA headquarters. And in July, we actually had our first public event. And then shortly after this, the center also came on board. Our LGBT, I know you're speaking later, but they came on board as another supporter and a sponsor, and we really began to grow. At our second event, I actually handed out a survey to find out what people were looking to get out of this organization. And we need to do that again because the organization is growing. but it, really was hitting on what transgender professionals, what transgender people in this community want and need. And some of those things were obvious stuff I was thinking of, like resume assistance, information on transitioning at work. But then we started uncovering things that I think a lot of us even forget exist. There are so many hidden challenges that somebody who does not go through that have no idea. For life insurance, great example, right? How do you find a life insurance company that's going to respect and identify you as the gender that you identify as versus your birth certificate? Right? Things like that. So the group is really there to provide a lot of resources to this community. But not only that, it's there to show Orlando, and I keep trying to remind businesses, especially ally businesses, people that want to be a part of this community, to come out, because it's really there to show Orlando that this is a part of your community, a part of your thriving community. We don't meet in little back rooms. We meet in public, restaurants. We meet, out in the open, saying, this is who we are, we're here, we're an amazing part of your community. We show up, we treat that restaurant well. They don't even know what's walking in their door, right? And by the time we walk out, though, I guarantee you they want us to come back, right? And that grows our community as well. That grows our local businesses. We try to focus on local restaurants. Chains are not out of the question, but again, this is our community, right? And we just had our last one in February, which our biggest one yet. Over here at 310, we had over 30 people easily attend that event. We had Marissa Sandlin speak, which was amazing. And so, as I said, there are specific challenges that individuals at various stages in their transition, as well as in their career and their life, they face. And so this group is really there to help address some of those challenges. And each T-Network event, we try to raise up one of these topics. The event itself, we meet the last Wednesday of every month from 6 to 8 p.m. The venue does change, so I'm trying to get people on, start a mailing list, get people so we can, we're working on how to get that word out in terms of where we meet each time, because I really am trying to spread the love across Orlando. But if you're interested, obviously, in more information on what we're doing, how we're doing it, how to get involved, want to be a speaker or just participate, please make sure you see me or get information at the back. But I want to close out on talking to you about this today and open up for any questions if people are allowed to ask questions. But I want to share a note that I received from one of the attendees after one of our first events. And I did get permission to share this. But she sent me this. She said, "Thanks for putting together a great event last night. I felt very comfortable there and met some wonderful people too, yourself included. I've only been going outside of my home since July 5th. I'm slowly testing the waters. Events like yours help me gain my confidence that I can do this. And I look forward to attending the next meeting. Thank you again, Josie." So that's all I have. But I thank you very much for letting me come in and talk about this. Like I said, we're young. We're growing. I hope more information, hopefully more excitement the next time Gina lets me speak. But I'm definitely open to any questions if you have any. I know I probably didn't take the full 15. So 2. I can take 2 questions, she said, if anybody has any. Nope. Yes?
Is there a Facebook page for T-Network, or is that just a mailing list?
There's a mailing list right now. I create Facebook events when we have and I do need to create a Facebook group or a page that's open to all, so that is going to be coming. Right now, that's why I keep the business cards at the back with the information. We had a page on MBA, and that I went to go check on, and because that was one of the things I was going to share, and it's not showing up, and I think that's because they did a bunch of revamping to the website. So we did have a website, but in lieu of that, we're going to look to create something else. So yeah, so I apologize we don't have a good presence, virtual presence yet. But all right, well, thank you.